It's time for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the award-winning broadcast covering fishing, hunting, and outdoor recreation throughout the Great Northwest. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you every week by Max Lure Company, producing a legacy of innovation since 1969, by Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter, and by Loophole, America's optical authority. Also sponsoring the show every week is Shiloh Inn & Suites, offering affordable excellence throughout the West. Mardon Resort, the place to fish and hunt in eastern Washington, and the Wallowa County Chamber of Commerce, where nature is on display in Northeast Oregon all year long. And now, let's head into the field with your host, John Cruz.
It's been a long fire season here in the Northwest, and probably the worst one many of us have experienced in recent memory. As bad as it's been for us, it's been even worse for the wildland firefighters who have been on the line this summer battling huge blazes in Montana, Idaho, Oregon, and eastern Washington. There's an elite group of wildland firefighters I want to tell you about this week. They're smoke jumpers, and they actually parachute out of planes into places you can't drive to fight fire. Their mission is to snuff out small fires before they become big ones. It's dangerous work, and we went to the smoke jumper base in Missoula this July to find out more about it. Not only were we able to tour the smoke jumper base, something you can do too, by the way, but we also got to speak to an experienced smoke jumper named Rick Oliveras about the work he and his fellow firefighting parachutists do. After we leave the smoke jumper base in Missoula, we're going to shift gears from fires to fishing, and it being September, there's a whole bunch of good fishing to talk about here in the Northwest. One person who knows about this is Nate Luther. He's the owner of Nate Luther's Guide Service. He'll join us to preview the salmon and steelhead fishing that's heating up in a hurry on the Snake River near the mouth of the Grand Ronde south of Lewiston. He'll join us to preview the salmon and steelhead fishing that's heating up in a hurry on the Snake River near the mouth of the Grand Ronde south of Lewiston. We've also got fishing reports from rivers in Oregon, Washington, and Montana, and Lance Mers comes on board for an extended Backs Minute to tell you about a great lure you can use for all sorts of fish species this fall. Kent Danjenovich, senior editor of the Sportsman's News, that great publication you can pick up for free at your local Sportsman's Warehouse store, will also join us to tell us about this publication and what you're going to find when you open the pages. But before we get any further into this, it's time for another edition of Sportsman Spotlight, brought to you by the Northwest Ag Information Network. This week, David Sparks, with fall hunting in mind, talks about blocking your scent to help you close the deal when it comes to deer and elk hunting. Sportsman Spotlight is sponsored by Nate Luther's Guide Service. That's right, the same Nate we're talking to during this show. Nate would love to take you salmon or steelhead fishing on the Snake River. He also does sturgeon fishing too, and he's really good at that. I can tell you from personal experience. Find out more about fishing with him in his Seahawks boat by going to his website at nateluthersguideservice.com.
An attempt to block your scent. Well, actually, not an attempt. A verifiable product that works. David Sparks with Sportsman Spotlight. What could be worse? You sit all day in a blind, freezing. You're up in a tree stand, waiting and waiting. You spent days spotting and stalking that trophy elk, antelope, or bear that you've been dreaming about. But now, as you wait, there is absolutely no action whatsoever. Sportsman's Warehouse sales associate Randy Sewell says it's your scent, and you can fix that.
I've used the dead downwind stuff, which is really good. It breaks down the enzymes that cause your odor. It's kind of biological. For an example, I sprayed my dog, the bed that she lays on in the house. I sprayed it down with that dead downwind, and she wouldn't lay on it because she didn't think it was hers.
So it gets in with specific enzymes, is that what you're telling me, and breaks down the scent?
Yep.
How does it come, in the form of a spray?
There's actually a bar of soap, liquid soap. There's the clothing wash. It comes with a field spray that you'll spray on every day, and then deodorant.
Gee, that might be good to go on a date.
Yeah, it might be.
Tell me again how much it costs.
Well, it depends on what you go with, but from about $7 up to about $30. You know, it depends on your bottle size and what, if it's laundry detergent or field spray.
Again, the product is Dead Downwind.
This is David Sparks for Sportsman Spotlight.
Have you fished with Nate Luther before? He's the guide who's always catching fish out of his big boat painted in Seattle Seahawks blue and green. Nate grew up around Lewiston, Idaho. He has been fishing the Snake River and the Clearwater for as long as he can remember, and he wants to take you out on a trip where you can catch Chinook salmon to 25 pounds or steelhead up to 20 pounds. Here's how you do it. Go to his website, NateLuthersGuideservice.com. That's NateLuthersGuideservice.com, or give him a call at 208-503-9204. That's 208-503-9204 for an awesome Chinook salmon and steelhead catching adventure.
Leupold Gold Ring Optics are built to perform at the highest level, shot after shot, year after year. Our rifle scopes, binoculars, spotting scopes, rangefinders, and more always come through when you need them most. That's why our American-built products have a lifetime guarantee. Or as we like to say here at Leupold, they are guaranteed for a lifetime of performance, not a lifetime of replacement. Find out more about our top quality gear and our lifetime guarantee at Leupold.com. Leupold, America's optics authority.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after. Whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of its Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. It's been one heck of a fire season this year, and so we thought it'd be appropriate to stop at the Smoke Jumper base in Missoula, Montana, and visit with an actual smoke jumper. His name, Rick Oliveras. He hails from Miles City, Montana, and he is one of the elite Forest Service firefighters that is a smoke jumper. Rick, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John.
Rick, tell us about this base here. You know, you got the visitor center, you've got tours, but more importantly, this is a working smoke jumper base.
Yeah, here in Missoula, we probably have about 65 people on the board available to jump. I'd say we jump somewhere between, on average, 8 to 10 fires per person each year. It started off with a bang this year, but it's kind of tapered here in this last week just due to rain.
Smoke jumpers truly are the elite. I think everyone's heard of the hot shot crews, and they're kind of specialized firefighters, wildland firefighters, but you know, smoke jumpers are a level above that. There's only 400, I understand, throughout the nation. What does it take to become a smoke jumper?
You know, it just takes a lot of hard work. We get these questions quite often from people we meet out on the line, and they want to know how to get to the point where they're jumping out of planes. And usually the answer I give is you work hard, you do a good job for your supervisor, and keep applying.
It's not just that. You're selling yourself short here. Number one, you better not have a fear of heights, folks. Number two, you have to be really comfortable jumping into some really dicey situations. And number three, you got to be in incredible physical shape, don't you?
Yeah, you do have to be in good shape. Quite often you jump one fire and you just hike to another and yet another. And it's hard to say when you're going to be back at the office. As far as safety is concerned, you know, we have a lot of safety measures in place, and really there isn't any instance where we can't work out a safe solution.
Well, you say that, but I think everybody who knows a little bit about forest firefighting has heard the Mangold story. Happened in 1949, not too far from here in Montana near Helena. 13 smoke jumpers perished during that fire that basically blew up and overcame them. Something else I want to talk about. This is much, much different than my experience back at Army Airborne School back in the 1980s. There's some things that are similar. The parachutes that you use are very similar to what we used back in the 1980s. But, you know, we landed in these big open fields and would jump from heights of up to 3,000 feet. You're jumping at like 1,400 feet or less, and you're landing in trees sometimes.
You know, I'm the last person in my rookie class to never have treed up, and which pretty much means that I'm going to tree up later this summer.
I probably just jinxed you.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, some of the jump spots are a bit tight, and we practice all summer long in increasingly small jump spots just to kind of hone in our accuracy and work on landing safely. Yep.
This brings up another point. You mentioned you do about 10, 12 fires that you jump into every season. but you do practice jumps on top of that. How many times are you jumping out of a plane every year?
This year, we were helping out with the rookie class, the first Ram Air Forest Service rookie class. And I think I got about 15 jumps with the rookies. Add to that another 7 to 10 practice jumps that you'll get from April to September, and it adds up pretty quick.
You're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We're talking to Rick Olivares. He's a smoke jumper based in Missoula, Montana. And we've been talking about some of the incredible work he does and some of the incredible skills he has to be a smoke jumper. The gear you have is also different from what we had in the Army. Number one, you've got these thick Kevlar suits, and you've got something else that we didn't carry with us, let-down ropes to get you out of those trees. You got the Kevlar suits, you got the helmets, you actually have face masks. Is this all so you don't get treed up, so to speak?
Yep, the idea is certainly to make it to the ground and to not tree up. When you do land in those trees, it takes a while to get your chute out of there, and ideally you just hit the ground, bag all your gear up, and head off to the fire. Yeah, that let-down rope is pretty important for a variety of reasons, but if you can get through the summer without using it, you're doing a good job.
I believe it. Let's talk about something else. The planes you used, not what I expected. You've still got an old school World War II era DC-3 that you're using.
Yeah, it's certainly my favorite ship that we jump out of. It has a lot of history, and more importantly, we can get just about anywhere in the region really quickly. In fact, we can fly from Missoula, staff a fire somewhere between Miles City and Wyoming, and refuel in Miles City, all on one tank of gas, and get 16 people on the ground in just over an hour. Going west, you can do something similar. We just flew a fire over by, I think it was somewhat close to Wenatchee. It was about 270 air miles away from Missoula, and we staffed 5 fires in short order.
Amazing. Now, you have another plane that you jump out of, too. It doesn't carry quite as many smoke jumpers. That's the Sherpa?
Yeah, the Sherpa. It's also a good plane. It fits about 10 people in it. And I think that's what we're going to be jumping out of for the foreseeable future. We're getting some from the military that we're just converting for our use. Those should be online next year. It's a little bit more difficult to exit out of, but still a good aircraft.
So we've talked about the planes that you're jumping out of. Something else I think that's worth mentioning here, again, going back to the best I can do is my personal experience in the service, where we did like a mass tactical jump where you got like 60 guys going out at one time out both doors. Here, you might just jump 2 smoke jumpers onto a fire. When I first heard that, I was trying to scratch my head, getting a handle around that. Why would you only jump like 2 smoke jumpers?
Actually, some of those smaller fires, even if they seem insignificant to those who are calling them in, sometimes those are the most important to put out. For instance, earlier this summer, we put 2 people out on near a backcountry airstrip right up against the river. Some rafters had found it, dumped some water on it, and some Forest Service personnel just wanted to get a couple firemen out there just to make sure that the fire was indeed out. After a few hours of dry mopping, we found some heat on the perimeter, and if left unchecked, that fire would have compromised that backcountry airstrip that people use all summer long, and it probably would have done that in the next day or 2.
Something else to mention here, you're jumping into places that simply aren't accessible to hotshot crews. So I'm guessing most of the fires you're dealing with, they're lightning strike fires?
Yeah, that's correct. We actually just flew a series of fires out in Washington and staffed them here out of Missoula. And there was probably 3 of those 5 fires that were less than 1/10 of an acre. Wind events were coming up in the next couple of days, so it was important for us to get in there, line those things, and put them out before that wind event.
That's what you call initial attack, folks. Now, you might say the ultimate in terms of an initial attack for a fire. We have got to go, but before we do, we got to tell people about the Visitor Center here. It's open 7 days a week, Memorial Day through Labor Day, and it's open some days after that as well. But the tours here are great, and you really get a good picture into what you do. Is there anything else you want to add about that?
The folks here at the Visitor Center do a great job. They have a staff that works all summer long, showing usually around 30 to 40,000 people each summer through the base, showing them the aircraft, and really getting them close to history and close to our job. So, yeah, really appreciative for those folks check out Missoula Smoke Jumper Visitor Center at facebook.com.
There you go, folks. Missoula Smoke Jumpers Visitor Center. Check them out at facebook.com. Another website to check out is just smokejumpers.com. That's about smoke jumpers in general. And if you want to visit this, it's just right off of Interstate 90 in Missoula, right by the airport. This is well worth the visit. It takes about an hour of your time. You'll really enjoy walking through yourself and then going on the tour, and you'll come away with a real appreciation for what these men and women in the smoke jumper service do. Rick, thank you so much. Be safe out there this summer.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Need a lightweight camp stove for your next adventure? The new Striker Series stove from Camp Chef is the perfect solution. 2 models of this single-burner stove let you cook using propane or isobutane. The heat ring technology built into the stove's cookware lets you boil water in less than 2 minutes. And like everything else in the Camp Chef line, the Striker Series stove is built tough. If you hike, paddle, hunt, or fish and cook while you do it, you're going to love the Striker Series stove. Find it at your local sporting goods store or at campchef.com. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
The road is calling you to experience one of Oregon's 7 wonders, the Wallowas. So grab your family and spend some time exploring Northeast Oregon's Wallowa County. Visit the state park at the head of glacier-carved Wallowa Lake. Travel the Hells Canyon Scenic Byway. Feel the pioneer spirit, Nez Perce history, and see our Western arts and bronzes. Ascend to the top of Mount Howard on the tram and you'll see why Wallowa County is one of Oregon's most scenic and adventurous vacation wonders. This summer, take the road that leads to wonders. It begins at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
Pheasants Forever is working hard every day to ensure there's more wildlife habitat for the future. To join us, go to pheasantsforever.org.
We're back with John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time for another Max Minute.
Fish on!
Brought to you every week by Max Lure Company. With us again from Max is Lance Mers. Lance, welcome to September.
Hi, John.
Lance, the water's cooling, and for lack of a better word, the fish are going on the bite. They're heading to the feed trough to fatten up for the winter months. What's a good lure that will attract bites during the fall months?
You know, John, we've got this lure called the Sonic Bait Fish, and it is fantastic. It is versatile as any jigging spoon out there.
Now, this is a metal jigging spoon. Comes in a variety of different colors, variety of different sizes, and it catches not just walleye, but all sorts of other species too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It catches trout, bass, panfish. It catches salmon like crazy too.
I've seen a lot of photos of some really big trout, including some brown trout taken near Yakima with the Sonic Bait Fish. I've personally caught smallmouth bass on a number of occasions with Sonic Bait Fish. And like I said before, it's a really good walleye lure too. Let's talk about the different sizes. It goes all the way from, what, 1/10 of an ounce to an ounce in size?
Absolutely.
And what do you like to use for, like, we'll stick with walleye here, you know, are we talking like the ounce size for walleye or what?
Well, you're going to want to use the smallest sizes possible. So if you're catching 15 to 20 inch walleye, you know, you probably want to start with a 1/4 ounce or a 1/6 ounce. But if it doesn't work, you can always increase the weight and go after those bigger fish.
So bottom line is sometimes smaller is better, and that is the rule here of the Sonic Bait Fish. Another great thing about this lure, its versatility, different attachment points. You don't have to fish it with the standard 2 hooks below and tie it off in the center above, do you?
Nope, you don't. It's got 3 different attachment points, and that's the cool thing about this, is that because of these attachment points, you can cast this, you control it, you can jig it, you can do anything with this thing.
And lots of different colors too, including UV.
Yep. Glow white, pink, chartreuse, silver, blue, and glow orange this year.
Well, there you go, folks. It's the Sonic Bait Fish. It's been around a couple years, and it's getting really popular for very good reason. It catches fish. Look for the Sonic Bait Fish in a sporting goods store near you or online at maxlure.com. And that wraps up this week's Max Minute.
The road is calling you to experience one of Oregon's 7 wonders, the Wallowas. So grab your camping equipment and fishing gear and head out to Northeast Oregon, where you'll find the views are endless, the air crisp and clean, and the water's cold and clear. Set up camp by the shores of Wallowa Lake or in the heart of the Wallowa-Whitman National Forest. Take your fishing gear and cast your bait into the deep waters of Wallowa Lake, or roll your fly into one of the eddies of the many freestone creeks and rivers teeming with fish. This summer, take the road that leads to wonders. It begins at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
Walleye anglers all over the Northwest are raving about the new Smile Blade Spindrift Walleye Lure made by Max Lure Company. Lance Mers is with us here to tell us more about it.
This lure is fantastic. We've got the patented Smile Blade. We've got a pill float that keeps it just off of the bottom where the fish like to bite. And that Spindrift hook is absolutely phenomenal. You can tip it with any kind of bait.
Tip it with a crawler, tip it with a leech, whatever you tip it with, it's going to catch more fish. It's the Smile Blade Spindrift Walleye Lure, only from Max Lure Company.
Backcountry hunters and anglers, the men and women working hard to keep public lands in public hands. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
He said we're right on him. Without missing a beat, you'll drop your line down to 42 feet. If you don't screw up, it won't be long. Someone in this boat's gonna sing Fish On. Fish on, fish on. Do it by the book, don't take too long. Set the hook, reel it in strong. Fish on, fish on.
Next up on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, we're talking to one of my favorite fishing guides. His name's Nate Luther, and we're actually broadcasting from the Snake River as we speak. Nate, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thank you.
Nate, we're having a great day sturgeon fishing, but not too long from now, people are going to be heading towards the mouth of the Grand Ronde on the Snake. They're going to be targeting fall chinook. They're going to be targeting steelhead, and it's one heck of a fishery come September, October, isn't it?
Yeah, mid-September is when I start, about the 15th every year. The fall chinook, they're on a mission. They're usually here in a lot more numbers than the steelhead at first. Last year, we were allowed 5 adult salmon and unlimited jacks, which is smaller than 24 inches, plus your 3 steelhead. So you could have, and at the end of the day, we can have 20, 30, 40 fish to clean.
Well, that is a nice problem to have. And I guess we got to talk about this fishery. It's just gotten better and better and better over the last few years, hasn't it?
Yeah, within the last 5 years, the fall chinook fishery has just been taken off. And, I can remember back when I was a kid, you couldn't keep them. If you caught them, you had to let them go. And now there's so many of them. They're actually, when you're got a group wanting to target steelhead, the salmon are actually a nuisance because there's so many of them.
Well, and that's something else I want to talk about here, because the techniques that you use in this drift, basically, from the Grand Ronde down the Snake River, it's a technique to catch the steelhead that works really well in the salmon, too. And you don't usually see that on most fisheries where you're hooking into both. Why don't you go ahead, educate our listeners, tell them how you fish this stretch of the river?
All of our fishing, that 98% of it, I should say, we do side drifting. So I'll go to the top of the hole, running the big motor in the boat, and everybody lines up on one side, and you start at the front and end up at the back, casting at a 40-degree angle, and you're just bouncing along the bottom. You always feel your lead, and I tell people you should definitely know the difference between a fish and a rock. Once you get that feel, you have it.
Let's talk about bait. What are you using?
What do I use? I can't tell you that. No, mostly what we use is roe. A lot of times I'll use a corky and yarn. Sometimes I will pin a corky about 3-4 inches above a number 4 hook, and that's all I use, and that works really well.
Interesting. You see, I knew about the roe, but I wouldn't have figured just the corky and the hook, or the corky and the yarn without the bait would have worked too well. But I'm guessing you're putting some scent on when you've got yarn?
Myself, I don't like using scent on yarn because I think when it's in the water, the yarn doesn't float the way it should because it's all matted together. I do put scent on it, but I'd rather not.
Well, there you go. And that's why we talk to pros during this show, because if you listen to me, you probably wouldn't catch any fish. So you want to go with a guy like Nate instead. Let's go ahead and talk about how much lead you usually need, and also what kind of hooks you like to use.
I use number 4 hooks, Gamakatsu, Owner, Vision. I'm not too picky on them. And weight, that all depends. Sometimes I'm using 2 inches of quarter. Sometimes I'm using 3.5 inches of quarter. It just depends how much water we got in the river.
Another thing I want to talk about is the rods, because, again, we've got a unique situation here where you basically have summer run steelhead, and you also have fall chinook. So, one fish might be a 4 to 6 pound steelhead. Your next fish might be a 15-pound chinook. What do you like to use for rods, reels, and line?
All my rods are all feather stick rods with Shimano reels or Fluger reels. I use 10-pound main line with a 10 or 12-pound leader. You're right. When you get that 15-pound salmon or 20-pound salmon, these are 9.5-foot rods, so it's a lot of fun. You sit there for 20 minutes fighting a big fish. And it's funny, the last 2 years in a row, I've brought my daughter up here. She's 14 now, and she's caught 2 of the biggest salmon I've ever had in my boat.
How big were they?
Both of them are pushing 20 pounds.
Oh my gosh. Well, those are some really nice salmon. I actually had the fortune to come up here with my family a couple years ago, and my daughter, she caught a nice 15-pound salmon too. And same thing, steelhead, salmon. It was just a ton of fun. So we've got this starting off basically mid-September. How long does the fun last?
I will fish all the way till March for the steelhead. Now, the salmon at the end of October, they're done. Most of them are spawned out or getting ready to spawn. And then after October, we're not allowed to keep them anyhow. So it'll be strictly steelhead fishing after that.
Folks, you're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're talking to guide Nate Luther. He fishes the Snake River for salmon, for steelhead, for sturgeon too. And you were telling me before we went on the mic here that during these early steelhead and salmon trips, you can even get a sturgeon or two.
Yeah, we do lunch, our barbecue. We put out the sturgeon poles, and last year, almost every September trip, I had sturgeon on.
Wow. The triple play, folks. Salmon, sturgeon, and steelhead. Now that is what I call a great day of fishing. So we've talked about the early fall, salmon and steelhead. Let's go ahead and talk about, November when the big steelhead derby's going on. Are you still fishing the Snake, or are you fishing the Clearwater then?
Mid-November, I try to get people to go to the Clearwater. All my Clearwater trips are ran through Toby Wyatt. I fish under him as a guide. But there's a lot of fish still here on the Snake, and everybody's gone. So if you want to trip to yourself and not a lot of people, the Snake's where to come.
Now, I know there's 2 runs of steelhead that come up the Snake River. There's the A runs, and typically those are, 6-8 pounds. And then you've got the B runs, and those can push 20. I know a lot of the B runs go up the Clearwater. Do you get any in this stretch of the Snake over by the Grand Run or not?
Yeah, they got a hatchery. They're putting these B-run fish in. They're going back to on the Salmon River. So last year we got quite a few B-run fish, 15, 16-pound fish that are normally not here. Normally we have the 6-8 pound fish. I mean, within the last few years, this hatchery is getting us some bigger fish on the Snake as well.
Nice to hear. Anything else folks ought to know about if they want to book a trip with you, this fall? Because I know you do book up early when it comes to salmon and steelhead. Anything they should know besides call now?
No, just get ready and to catch a lot of fish and give me a call.
All right. Let's go ahead and give folks a phone number, and I'll give them a website too.
My phone number is 208-503-9204.
And the website, folks, is NateLuthersGuideservice.com. That's NateLuthersGuideservice.com. And one more time with the number there.
208-503-9204.
Or NateLuthersGuideservice.com. Either way, you can get the info you need. But again, space is limited. He doesn't have a whole lot of slots left, so you better book now if you want this chance at a trifecta of salmon, sturgeon, and steelhead on the Snake River. Gorgeous country, too. You're going to see tons of wildlife. Sun's usually shining. You're not going to have a better day this fall. Give Nate a call. Nate, thanks for a great day on the river. We're having a ton of fun.
Hey, thank you.
Especially want to thank all the little people too. Say fish on, fish on. Oh, hit him again, he's still kind of squirmy. Somebody call my taxidermy. Fish on, fish on.
That's the sound you hear when a fish hits the new Sonic bait fish from Max Lure Company. This metal lure can be cast, trolled, or jigged and will catch just about anything that swims in the sea, the river, or the lake. The Sonic bait fish has a unique vibration and flutter that can be rigged in 7 different ways. With all sorts of eye-catching colors and weights available, you'll be reaching for the Sonic bait fish as your go-to lure. It's the Sonic bait fish. And that's another fish on. Only from Max Lure Company.
Sonic booms not included with the Sonic Baitfish Strike unless you are fishing for jet fighters.
Planning to head outdoors today? The National Shooting Sports Foundation reminds you to check the fire danger levels in your area. Whether target shooting, camping, or even parking a car with a hot exhaust, remember to take precautions. As we know, wildfires have many possible causes. Don't be one of them.
Have you fished with Nate Luther before? He's the guide who's always catching fish out of his big boat painted in Seattle Seahawks blue and green. Nate grew up around Lewiston, Idaho. He has been fishing the Snake River and the Clearwater for as long as he can remember, and he wants to take you out on a trip where you can catch Chinook salmon to 25 pounds or steelhead up to 20 pounds. Here's how you do it. Go to his website, NateLuthersGuideservice.com. That's NateLuthersGuideservice.com, or give him a call at 208-503-9204. That's 208-503-9204 for an awesome Chinook salmon and steelhead catching adventure.
I'm gonna take you fishing, honey. You're gonna love it. Gonna get up before the sun rise above us. Got a bamboo pole and a leaky boat. It ain't much, but if you bail, it'll
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. It's time again for news and reports from the field, brought to you every week by Mardon Resort at Eastern Washington's Potholes Reservoir. We told you about this last week, the big dock tournament at Mardon Resort. It's taking place September 18th through the 20th. It's a marathon event. You can fish as little or as much as you want from Friday evening through Sunday morning, and you're fishing for 9 different species of fish. They're going to pay out for the 2 biggest fish from all 9 species, everything from catfish to walleye to trout to crappie to bass and more. It's a ton of fun. There's usually over 100 anglers, and there's room for more, and it all ends up noon Sunday with a potluck and a pie social. If you want to find out more and book a stay at the resort while you're doing it, go to MardonResort.com. That's MardonResort.com, where the fish bite, but we don't. In other fishing news, it's okay to fish our rivers and streams again. That's the word from the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, which has lifted afternoon fishing restrictions put in place this summer because of low water levels, high temperatures, and fish die-offs. The water is still low, but it has cooled, and this is a very good month to hit the Columbia River for big fish. Catch and release fishing is open for sturgeon again above Bonneville Dam, something I might be trying out the next week or two. Guides are reporting excellent fishing for coho salmon at the mouth of the Columbia near Buoy 10, and Bobby Loomis with Max Lure Company tells me the fall Chinook are showing up in good numbers right now off the mouth of the Deschutes and Klickitat rivers. Get out the boats, boys. It's time to hit the big sea. Further south in Oregon, the Department of Fish and Wildlife reports the Rogue River is a good place to go if you're after salmon or steelhead. Chinook catches continue to be very good in the bay, and fish should be moving upriver with the recent cooling and wet weather trend we've seen. A few coho have been picked up in the bay, but better numbers are going to start showing up any day now. Steelhead fishing has been fair, but again, those cooler water conditions should bring some new fish into the river. Heading upstream to the middle section of the Rogue, fall Chinook fishing is fair to good for those back-bouncing roe or fishing sardine-wrapped quick fish, and summer steelhead are being caught on plugs, spoons, and spinners. We've got some fishing news out of Montana, too. The Stonefly Fly Shop in Butte reports fall has arrived on the Big Hole River, and fishing small dries has been great. Streamer and blue wing olive imitations are getting popular. Terrestrials remain productive, and casting a nymph or a dropper nymph has been producing some great trout. Another option is Rock Creek near Clinton. The Grizzly Hackle Fly Shop in Missoula reports hoppers the name of the game on this creek. If you're not fishing hoppers, smaller mayfly attractors like pea hazes and elk hair caddis are also great options. A hopper's best friend this time of year are ants and beetles. Any smaller red or black ants trailing off a hopper or fished as a single is going to pick up some fish for you. And while we're in Montana, let's check in with a new friend of mine, Kent Dangenofich. He is the senior editor for Sportsman's News. Sportsman's News, in case you weren't aware, is that publication you pick up for free at Sportsman's Warehouse stores. It's full of great information, and with us here to tell us more about it again is Kent. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. You know, we've been doing the paper now for, we're going into our 12th year this fall, and like you said, it's been a great adventure. We've been covering hunting and fishing in the outdoors for a number of years now, and I do the majority of the fishing side of things. My partner, Michael Deming, does majority of the big game hunting, and boy, it's been great intermingling with hunters and fishermen, the people that frequent Sportsman's Warehouse, and kind of giving them some input on great places to visit and great things to do in the great United States that we have here.
Well, Kent,
I'll tell you what, every time I go into a Sportsman's Warehouse store, I always pick up a copy of this. But I'll be honest, I always thought this was an in-house publication, but it's not.
Nope, we're actually a separate entity. We've been doing the paper for Sportsman's per se since the winter of 2004. And we haven't ever had a problem with people thinking that we are owned by Sportsman's Warehouse. But we are a separate entity. We produce it solely for Sportsman's Warehouse. It's kind of a unique situation. We have a very good working relationship with them. But we are a separate entity, and we work hand in hand with Sportsman's to deliver our product.
For those of our listeners who haven't picked up a copy of the Sportsman's News before, let's go ahead and tell our listeners what they're going to find inside a typical edition.
We try to go with the seasons. We have a good mix of hunting and fishing in each issue of the paper. We are a monthly publication. Comes out the first of each month. It's circulated throughout the stores. There are over 60 stores now throughout the country again. The vast majority of the stores are from Colorado West. And we produce 180,000 copies that are circulated through the stores. We also have about 280,000 digital subscribers across the country as well. And so we are actually the largest free outdoor publication in the country.
And folks, if you pick up a copy, you're going to find a lot of information about guided trips and adventures, but also product reviews. And the product reviews, every product you're going to find in a Sportsman's Warehouse store.
Yes, we don't promote any products that are sold outside of Sportsman's Warehouse. So we actually have a new aspect in our publication that we have been doing now for a few years. We actually do video product reviews of special products from different companies that are highlighted at Sportsman's Warehouse. So not only do we do our written product reviews in the paper, along with those we do video product reviews that you can pick up on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and of course they'll be on the monitors at each Sportsman's Warehouse when you go in. They come out weekly.
Well, folks, you can't beat the price on this. Again, it's the Sportsman's News. It's full of great information, and it's free at the 60-plus Sportsman's Warehouse stores here in North America. Kent, thanks for doing a great job putting this together every month and for telling us about it on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thanks for the chance to talk to you, John. Appreciate it.
Rise above us, got a bamboo pole and a leaky boat. It ain't much, but if you bail, it'll float. I'm gonna take you fishing, honey. You're gonna love it.
Shiloh Inn's Affordable Excellence. Welcome to Shiloh Inn's 4-star accommodations at 2-star affordable prices. I'm Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inn's. I personally invite you to enjoy Shiloh Inn's deluxe smoke-free suites, then relax and enjoy our spacious pools and spas with steam and sauna rooms and fully equipped fitness centers. And Shiloh's 4-star treatment is even more affordable with more free amenities than most other hotel chains, like free high-speed internet to a free continental delicious breakfast or full hot breakfast at most Shiloh Inns. Even the kids stay free. And smoke-free Shiloh Inns are all dog-friendly. That's what we mean by 4-star accommodations at 2-star affordable prices. For reservations, call 1-800-222-2244 or visit our website at shilohinns.com. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American family-owned and proud of it.
Have you fished with Nate Luther before? He's the guide who's always catching fish out of his big boat painted in Seattle Seahawks blue and green. Nate grew up around Lewiston, Idaho. He has been fishing the Snake River and the Clearwater for as long as he can remember, and he wants to take you out on a trip where you can catch Chinook salmon to 25 pounds or steelhead up to 20 pounds. Here's how you do it. Go to his website, NateLuthersGuideservice.com. That's NateLuthersGuideservice.com, or give him a call at 208-503-9204. That's 208-503-9204 for an awesome Chinook salmon and steelhead catching adventure.
If you've ever been fishing in Mexico, you know how good it can be, and now you can fish there with the Real News. Take your choice of a trip to Baja's East Cape for roosterfish, marlin, and dorado. These trips are value priced, so you can stretch your dollars in fun. To find out more about fishing Mexico with the Real News, log on to therealnews.com or call 425-334-8966. Again, that's therealnews.com or 425-334-8966. For an incredible adventure.
Leupold Gold Ring Optics are built to perform at the highest level, shot after shot, year after year. Our rifle scopes, binoculars, spotting scopes, rangefinders, and more always come through when you need them most. That's why our American-built products have a lifetime guarantee. Or as we like to say here at Leupold, they are guaranteed for a lifetime of performance, not a lifetime of replacement. Find out more about our top quality gear and our lifetime guarantee at Leupold.com. Leupold, America's optics authority.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after. Whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, a nationwide group working to keep public lands in public hands so future generations can enjoy what we enjoy. Join the group that makes a difference. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
We're back with one last cast from John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time for upcoming events and your Sportsman's Warehouse Trivia Question of the Week. There is a big upcoming event to tell you about taking place at a Sportsman's Warehouse store near you. It's the Fall Hunting Sale. Incredible deals are coming your way this month, and it starts now. Rifles, shotguns, binoculars, trail cams, hunting apparel, cook stoves for elk and deer camp, and more. Look for it in your local newspaper, head to your local Sportsman's Warehouse store, or shop online 24/7 at sportsmanswarehouse.com to take advantage of these great deals. And now, it's time for your Trivia Question of the Week, and this go-round, we're focusing on state mammals. You know, the animals that state legislatures say best represent their state. In Oregon, it's that animal you see on the state flag, the beaver. In Washington, it's the orca whale. In Idaho, believe it or not, it's the Appaloosa horse. But what about Montana? When it comes to big sky country, when it comes to the treasure state, is the state animal the bobcat, the grizzly bear, or the Rocky Mountain elk? You'll find all three in big sky country, but only one is the state mammal. You can give us your answer on our Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Make sure you like our page and then give us your answer on the post that we provide for you there. Or you can go to our website. Just go to our contact page at northwesternoutdoors.com. Either way is just fine. Everyone who answers correctly is entered for a chance to win the $25 gift card we give away every week from Sportsman's Warehouse. A couple of other events to tell you about include Hell's Canyon Mule Days. It's taking place this weekend through Sunday at the Fairgrounds in Enterprise, Oregon. We got to attend this last year, and if you like mules, you'll love this festival featuring mule-driven competitive events, a parade, cowboy poetry, a Dutch oven cook-off, lots of vendors, and of course, a sale where you can buy a horse or a mule to take home with you. Find out more at hellscanyonmuledays.com. There's going to be a star party at the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center in Great Falls on September 25th, where local astronomers will have telescopes set up outside for you to peer through and then offer you refreshments inside the center. Better still, the event is free. I don't have a starting time for this, but I'm pretty sure if you show up just after sunset, you'll be right on time. Speaking of Great Falls, I've got some personal news to share. I was in this great city, home of our affiliate, KINX, a couple of weeks ago, buying a Chevy Silverado pickup truck from the Lithia Chrysler Jeep Dodge dealership there. I was really pleased with the whole experience. My salesman, Dan Linland, picked me up at the airport in the new pickup, and our test drive was done on the way back to the dealership. We had already agreed on a price well below anything being offered by any other dealer for this type of truck in the Northwest, and the whole experience was really quite seamless. In fact, from the time I was picked up at the airport until I drove away in my new car was just over 2 hours. Wow. Lithia Chrysler Dodge Jeep has a huge inventory, and based on my experience, well, I'd recommend them to you as well. No money changed hands for this. No deals were made for me to talk them up. Nope. I just wanted to share this very good car buying story because, as we all know, these kind of experiences can be hard to come by. Check them out. Their website is lithiachryslergreatfalls.com or find them on 10th Avenue South in Great Falls near 40th Street. While you're on the web, I've got another website for you to check out. It's RenoViolaOutdoors.com. That's the home of WRVO Radio, an internet channel that has nothing but outdoors programming 7 days a week. We are part of the lineup that includes 33 different outdoors radio shows. The website again, RenoViolaOutdoors.com. If you enjoy outdoors radio, you're going to enjoy WRVO Radio. That's all for this week. As you might imagine, I'm having fun driving around in my shiny new, well, nearly new to me, Chevy truck. If you want to see what it looks like, go to our Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio, where we've got a picture posted of it. If that doesn't work, just look for us on the road. Our logo is very visible, and we do tend to pile up the miles as we travel through the beautiful Northwest, putting shows together for you. Until next time, take care, God bless, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.